This is something a lot of people have been requesting for several months, if not years now. I'm, I was really concerned on whether or not to release this video, but well, there's demand for it, I'm going to supply. This is going to be your comprehensive guide to trading the Indian stock market, the Nifty 50 futures, utilizing ICT concepts. Nobody has ever made this clear of a guide before, and I'm pretty sure nobody else can come even close to making it this clear. So if you want to trade the Indian stock market, Indian futures, without going through all the legality, illegality, gray area in the forex markets or trading the overseas futures contracts, this is your one-stop guide to trading ICT concepts in the Indian markets. So without ado, let's get along with it. For starters, you need to know about the time of day. And yes, the global algorithms run on New York time. So that is going to have a great deal of influence over the Indian markets. But it is not going to be the only determining factor. Since we're operating in India on the Indian market, the opening time and the Indian market news releases are going to be just as important, especially if you want to trade intraday. So for starters, you need to have a very clear understanding of what the ranges are. The Asia range, which is a range for New York traders, is our operating window in India because Asia opens around 8 p.m. in New York, and that forms a range for all US denominated, dollar denominated assets. It forms a range because the main movement happens in the New York AM session, AM kills on, whatever you want to call that. But in India, the main movement will happen during the National Stock Exchange operating hours, which opens at 9:15 a.m. Where does it open? NSE opens 9:15 a.m. So keep that in mind. But that is very close to a very particular time. You see, midnight New York, assuming daylight savings is on, is 9:30 a.m. Indian time. The gears in your head should be moving because there's an overlap here. The NSE AM session, the morning session on National Stock Exchange in Delhi, forms at the absolute end of the Asia session and right before the London session. London kill zone is between 2 a.m. New York time and 5 a.m. in New York time. 2 a.m. New York time is 11:30 in the morning India time. 2 a.m. is of very little to no consequence to us. Same for 5 a.m. Not important. Do you know why? You'll find that a majority of the best ICT traders, the best ICT traders who trade on the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, like Tanya Trades, Jade Cap, Zusi, they all trade the AM session immediately after 9:30 a.m. A majority of the best trades on the 1 minute time frame are after 9:30 a.m. New York time because 9:30 open is when American stock markets open. There is a flux of volatility where stops are taken and the markets move and expand towards the target or the draw on liquidity. In India, that time is 9:15 a.m. We don't have the majority of the movement overnight. There is some action on the gift Nifty, which I'm looking at here, during the overnight session, which is overnight for us in India, but for New Yorkers, it is their morning session. But it is not as important for us. Why? Because we are operating in India time. We are trading an Indian asset. We have to operate in India time. So pay very clear attention. Why is 8:30 a.m. New York time important for the Americans? Because generally there is some kind of news release. Why is 9:30 important? Because the market's open. Both of them have one thing in common, one thing and one thing, which is volatility injection, which means stops are taken and rapid expansion towards targets. These are some things you need to keep in mind if you want to trade any asset. For the Nifty 50 in particular, the 9:15 a.m. futures open is extremely crucial. The National Stock Exchange opens at 9:15, but GIFT opens 1 hour after the start of Asia session at 6:30 a.m. India time or 9 p.m. New York time. Going forward, these are the times you need to pay attention to. This acts as a guideline for you. This is what you operate on, especially this part. These, okay, this is still important. The 3 a.m. New York time is still important. Why? Because National Stock Exchange operates during the end of Asia session and somewhere during London kill zone. It stops. Towards the end of London kill zone, we close because 5 a.m. New York time is 3:30 p.m. India time, which is the close of National Stock Exchange. If you're trading on the NSE, these timings are extremely crucial to you. And all of this is without daylight savings. With daylight savings, I'm sorry. If daylight savings is, let's say, suspended, after November, daylight savings is suspended. Everything moves back by 1 hour. 8 p.m. New York becomes 6:30 a.m. India time. This becomes 10:30 a.m. You get the idea. But this remains constant. Your operating time remains constant. Do you know why? Because GIFT will always open at 6:30 a.m. This will always happen exactly at the same time. These two things will remain constant regardless of daylight savings, regardless of everything else. Dear God, I can't change anything here, but that's okay. These are guidelines for when the ICT operates on dollar denominated assets. These are crucial times for you to be paying attention. Why? I'll tell you. Because, see, this is the gift contract. It operates between 6:30 a.m. India time to 2:30 a.m. India time, which is somewhere around New York afternoon session. Okay, you're going to need all these times. Please screenshot this chunk of information like this. I'm going to screenshot it, and this is going to be there in my Discord for anybody who wants to follow along. Follow me on Discord. You can ask me questions, and I'll answer them as I can see I fit. Anyway, so carrying on, you notice that the Gift Nifty, which is the entire contract, operates between 6:30 a.m. India time and 2:30 a.m. India time. Now we'll be dividing it into chunks. This is Friday's price action. This dotted line has been activated here by going on events and placing session breaks. And this is important because in India, all the other ICT indicators are going to be useless. See, this is 6:30 a.m. You can see on the x-axis, this is 6:30 a.m. and we're operating on India time. Currently, we have daylight savings. You need to check if you want to see what daylight savings or whatever is going on. You check New York time over here. Whereas UTC -4 is New York time. UTC plus 5:30 is India time. which it is operating. We are operating at that. So this is the opening price for the day at 6:30 a.m. I'm going to be placing vertical lines along wherever the session starts. This is 9:15, where the NSE opens. Now, within London kill zone, what did I tell you? All the traders who are trading ICT, they are looking for volatility injection. This is absolutely essential for trading. Without volatility injection, you cannot trade. Right. So all the opening times, this is 9:15, there's a volatility injection right here. 7 p.m. New York time somewhere, let's say over here. Yeah, this is 7 p.m. New York time. There's a movement. There's a volatility injection. New York time. This is not important, but currently you need to look at 12:30 India time, which is 3 a.m. New York time. What was 3 a.m. New York time? It's not mentioned here, but this is Frankfurt Open. This is going to be another volatility injection. Whenever the markets open somewhere, let's take another screenshot. I'll get this done later. I'll add the vertical lines later, and this will be it. Bear with me, guys. I could have planned this slightly better, but then we wouldn't have been working on this. Okay, let's get rid of all this. I hope you took your screenshots. Otherwise, you can go on my Discord and you'll find this there. Okay, back to the daily range. This is 6:30. This is 9:15. There's a volatility injection during the National Stock Exchange opening at 9:15. There is another volatility injection at 12:30 p.m., which is Frankfurt Open. The European markets open at 3 a.m. New York. This is what ICT termed as the opening for the London session silver bullet hour. And this is it because NSE closes at 3:30 p.m. There is no more volatility injection until the AM session starts somewhere around 5:30 p.m., which is 7 a.m. New York. If you remember, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. is New York AM session kill zone. This is where the New York AM session begins. So 5:30 p.m. is 7 a.m. New York. This is with daylight savings. Currently, we have daylight savings on until the end of November. Just keep that in mind. Or if you want to verify, you can just change the clock here. Don't worry about it. Change it to New York, check what time it is, match it up, and then change back to Indian time. This is 9:30 a.m., 7 p.m., another volatility injection. You don't need this as a vertical line, but you need this as a vertical line. 9:30 p.m. India time is 12:30 p.m. New York time. I don't think I added this here. Ooh, I didn't add this here. You need to add that 9:30 p.m. India time is 12:30 p.m. 12 p.m. in New York time. Why is this important? Because the rest of the session is a New York afternoon session. We have to divide it into sessions so that you can get the high and low of the range. This is the high and low of the New York AM session range. This is the high and this is the low of the New York PM session range. These are both going to be influential during the AM session on Monday, which is tomorrow. How this could be utilized, I'll show you using the previous day's range. See, this is Friday's price action. This is Thursday's price action. Let's note down here. That's not what I intended. Okay, this is Friday, this is Thursday's range. This dotted vertical line is dividing the day. Even though there is some candles after midnight India time, we're not going to worry too much about that because this is still New York PM session. During the AM session in NSE on Friday, we mark out this high that formed at 1 a.m. India time, which is sometime in the afternoon session. We can find out utilizing the clock here. If we, let's say I change this to New York time immediately, UTC -4. This is the 3:45 p.m. candle in New York time, but that is completely useless to me. All I need to know is that it's sometime in the New York PM session. I'm looking at the time-based range. I don't need to worry about the precise time of day. Back to India time. This is the buy stops above the PM session high. Somewhere over here is 9:30 p.m., which is the low of the PM session. This is New York PM session. This is the previous session's range. If you pay close attention to all the smart traders, you'll notice that they mark out the last 2 or 3 sessions of the day before you start trading. This is the low of the New York AM session from Thursday. This is Friday. Thursday's New York AM session low is right here, which is also the low of the Thursday's entire daily range. It's quite obvious visually, but you need to know that this is forming at a particular time of day. It will have an influence on the market. It could reverse from here or continue from here depending on context, let's just say. Somewhere here after 5:30 India time, this formed the AM session high because this is after 9:30 p.m. So somewhere here itself is the AM session high of New York range. You need to keep this in mind. Now let's go down. Before going down, we mark out the opening time of gift. Okay, I need to mark this as gift open. I'm going to create a new template for this. See right here, this says it's the gift opening price. On the 15-minute time frame, you can say that price was already in a bearish trend because it was making, let's say, I selected this high, low, lower highs, lower lows, basically. Took some stops, continued lower. You'd find this familiar if you watched the previous video I had made on how to trade the ICT strategy as a trend continuation. If you notice this as a trend reversal, you haven't been paying attention. The larger context is it needs to be clean. Clean highs and lows are forming. Generally, you look for the cleaner portion of the trend. This anemic move up wasn't a very clean up move. There was no bullish displacement like one candle with a large fair value gap. This could have been reached into, but it wasn't. But this was. Let's just say I ignore something here. I mark this high out. It'll be more accurate then. Because this is also not very clean price action. There's a little bit of subjectivity, but you'd be able to make sense of this with a little bit of practice. High, low, high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Before forming a lower low, it took out the lower high again and then took out the lows. So this is a trend continuation model. Let's go down to the 5-minute time frame. We don't mark out these immediately because this has already been traded through. But these two lows are very obvious draws on liquidity. See, this is the previous session high. This is the Asia session or gift session starting at 6:30. 9:15 stops are taken, which is exactly what happens during the New York session at 9:30 a.m. This was accumulation or a consolidation. Accumulation, manipulated higher and distributed lower. Typical ICT like price action, which goes to show that the algorithm is the same across the globe. The accumulation is very obvious if you're paying attention. See right here. The manipulation goes above, like here. Every time it goes above here is manipulation. And after that, we have distribution. The color codes aren't about bullishness or bearishness. It's about the segment of price action that is being described here. This is accumulation, manipulation, distribution. On a higher time frame, you'll see as the opening of the candle, open, high, low, somewhere over here close happens, but this particular time it just kept going higher. That's a separate issue after market close. But generally, this is all there is to one session. This is the AM session of the NSE. If you look at it on a 3-hour candle basis, basically, you'll find that there's an open, high, low, and close somewhere over here. Anyway, how would you trade this? You could trade this as the mean threshold of this order block is being rejected. That's a choice. Or let's say you want more confirmation, you trade this. That's another choice. But the smarter move would be to wait for a confirmation on a lower time frame. These are buy stops, right? Let's get rid of all this. This entire segment of price action between 6:30 and 9:15 a.m. is the gift session. It's purely happening on gift. There's no activity in NSE. NSE opens at 9:15. Initially, there's a wick that rejects the lows of the previous 90-minute cycle, and there are 30-minute cycles as well. You can use the indicator of 90-minute cycles and adjust according to the time of day in India. The buy stops are above the PM session from New York. That is the previous session. It goes above there, rejects. There's an inversion fair value gap right here. You could trade the moment this formed. Or you could wait for a shift in structure, let's just say. You wanted more confirmation. See, this is the gift open price on this line right here. I make it a little more bold and obvious. You wait till 10 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. Let's say you wait for the first 15 minutes. It's still inside of this range. It goes below here first, or 9:45 goes above. I don't know how the first presented fair value gap as a concept would work. This would be it in that case. After NSE opens, okay, no, that would be this actually. If you want to use the ICT concepts down to the T, this is your first presented fair value gap after the NSE open. 9:15. After that, this formed at 9:18. This is being rejected here. Now you can call this an IFVG. You can trade this, or you could wait for a model 2022, which is like here. There's a short-term low over here. There are various entries and they are all following the ICT concepts. This is your model 2022 fair value gap. Your stops would be either, okay, above this order block here or the swing high. It's entirely up to you. Your target would be here at the low of the PM session from New York, which is the previous session, or the previous day's low, which is a 5 to 1. You can choose to have a more low-hanging fruit objective like here, which would be a 1 to 1, or this swing low right here to the left, which would give you a 2 to 1. If you don't like any of these entries, that's still fine. You could go on, stay on the higher time frames. And trade this as a candlestick pattern if you want. This is an inverted hammer or a shooting star candle. This, and you can place the stops above the swing high and target the previous day's low. This candle right here and this candle right here. It's entirely up to you how you want to trade this. ICT concepts work just fine here. If you want to go on other time frames, 4-minute or 3-minute, this is, I think, cleaner. Or 2. Let's see if there's a clean price action. Yeah. There's a 2-minute fair value gap over here, which is quite narrow, unfortunately, but it's still there. You'll have to train your eyes to be able to see it. See, this swing low formed here. This got taken out over here with a displacement. You can call this your model 2022 short. Enter short here after these buy stops were purged in AM open. There are various entries you can take. You don't need to stick to one particular time frame. You don't need to use the time cycles. You could use the time cycles, that will actually help you. This is one day's price action. You can use this on the previous days as well. So this is Friday. The same strategy works on throughout the week. Let's just say, let's come here. This is Wednesday. This is the previous day's high. Markets opened higher. During London side, okay, this does not follow a continuation pattern. It's fully reversal. I'm not going to teach you how to trade reversals, unfortunately. That is out of the scope of what's happening today. On Thursday, you wouldn't have traded, even though there's a fair value gap, short-term low inside fair value gap on a 15-minute time frame. You can see this as a reversal. There's a fair value gap here. It never went in there, but you could have used this breaker to short. But this would be trading reversals, and I'm not teaching you reversals. Sorry. I'll only teach you trend continuation. This is Thursday, and this is Wednesday. This is not Thursday, this is Tuesday. Okay, if I'm making a mistake in the spelling of Tuesday, please don't judge me. I always do that. We all do that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Tuesday. So this is Tuesday's range. This is 9:15 NSE open. This is gift open price, which isn't that important today because it never got traded to. But this becomes important. This is a bullish breaker. Why? Because this is a low, high, lower low, and also this is the high of the NSE, the New York AM session. Why? Look at the time of day. 7:30 p.m. India is 10 a.m. New York time. And between 5:30 India time and 9:30 p.m. India time, 5:30 p.m. India time over here and 9:30 p.m. India time is the New York AM session. This is the AM session range. This is here to here is the AM session range, New York. I'm not going to mark it out as specifically as that, but you need to know, keep in mind that that's what's going on. Let's go down to the 1-minute time frame. I'm going to teach you the continuation. It's there again. See, this is gift open at 6:30 in the morning. This is the previous 30-minute cycle low, which just got purged. This is a purge and revert. Also, if you look at the slightly higher time frame, yeah, it's a 5-minute swing low here and here. So these are smooth lows or relatively equal lows, which get purged exactly at 9:15 a.m. after gift was drifting higher. So this is making what? Higher highs and higher lows. It went up to here, came back this low, and then continued higher. So this is the trend continuation model. It's working right here as well. Reversals I will teach maybe one day, but not today. See, okay, even though the chart looks a little bit unclean, during NSE session, it suddenly becomes very clear. Why? And we're looking for longs here. Even though there's a fair value gap here, swing low here, you don't see this as a bearish entry. Why? Because we're looking for longs. We're not looking for shorts. Because we're making higher highs and higher lows. Remember the context. Higher time frame, higher highs and higher lows are forming. You just purge the previous low. When the higher time frame is in an uptrend, on the lower time frame, you look for longs under old lows. Like this IFVG, or you can call this a shift in structure right here. When the high here got taken out at 9:15, high got taken out, that's your shift in structure bullish for a continuation higher. And these are fair value gaps you could use for an entry with stops below this low. It's entirely up to you how you want to frame this trade. Over here, we don't have much immediate targeting available. So what you can do is, this is the previous day's previous session range. You look at this. Let's say this is the New York AM session. You look for an extension. What is the nearest extension? This is your trade tool. The half extension gives you a 1-to-1 reward risk ratio. The full one extension gives you a 2-to-1. Depending on your risk tolerance or your risk profile, you either aim for this, halfway to this, or the entire first extension. It's entirely up to you. Or you could use one of these old highs as a target. Let's say you target this high, which aligns slightly above this negative half extension. You get a 1-to-1 reward risk ratio. You won't always get a 5-to-1 reward risk ratio. That's something you need to keep in mind. Even a 1-to-1 reward risk ratio with a 60% win rate is very, very profitable. Right. You won't always get a 100% win rate. In fact, you'll never get a 100% win rate. If you get a 50% and above win rate, consider yourself to be profitable. Just keep trading that. That's all I have to share about the how to implement the continuation model on the NSE. I've shared the time of day. If you have any feedback or any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. And please join my Discord. I'll personally answer your questions over there. And how you trade this is, you look at the chart of the GIFT Nifty and you execute on the NSE Nifty futures. Oops. Which operates between 9:15 and 3:30 p.m. India time. That's all there is to it. I hope you learned something from this video. Until next time, good luck and good trading.